Today, getting sweaty AF in a sauna. This is Zestology. It's biohacking basics and advanced linguistics from the world of NLP as well. And it's all recorded in the hotbox.
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm an author, presenter at Sky Sports, and years ago I went to the jungle and got ill. Very ill. So this is my podcast adventure to find more energy. It's packed with biohacking, science, health tech, supplements, and some of the most well-known experts on the planet.
This is something I spent 4 months of my life doing with electrodes glued to my head so that you can do a lifetime worth of meditation.
Decide what you don't give a fuck about, which is something you don't care about.
Some of it gets quite out there.
I had some stem cells sent up to my house that I had stored, and then I injected myself with mannitol.
And we even hack hangovers.
Alcohol is poisonous. So is water and oxygen in the wrong dosage.
So that's my podcast, Zestology. Live life with energy, vitality, and motivation.
Hello again, Tony Wrighton here. Last week I was lucky enough to be interviewed by Joey and Lucy from the SweatyAF podcast, and they record their podcasts SweatyAF, and we were actually in the hotbox itself, in the Sunlighten Sauna. So I went to the Fit Partnership in Wimbledon, London, and we recorded a podcast. And today is an edited version of the podcast that they recorded for theirs. So I've taken out a few bits, a few stories that I've told a few times before on this podcast, and what hopefully results is a whole new, fresh take on the world of biohacking, NLP, supplements, saunas, moving to different countries. You'll get the latest on my impending move and loads more. I hope you really enjoy it, because I certainly did. And it was one of those days when I sort of thought an hour in the sauna is going to be quite a long time, but I enjoyed it so much I didn't notice the time go by at all, and I felt great. And it was good fun. So just before we started this podcast, we had some discussions around impending holidays to Ibiza, and that is just to give you a bit of context, because you'll hear that mentioned a few times in the podcast. But here it is. Let's get sweaty AF on Zestology.
Before we started recording, we were just talking about Huel, and anybody who's listened to any other podcasts will know that I hate Huel. And Tony, you said you had a Huel story.
Huel story. I feel like I might have overplayed this story.
No. There's been a build up.
Well, I also think Huel is... I've got a real sort of ideological hatred of Huel, so that every once in a while, Facebook will serve me a Huel ad. And I always make a point of commenting on the ad, how it's, so I don't really agree with it for these reasons. And Huel always engage me. They sort of try and argue back. So I sort of argue back, and there's always a bit of a conversation going on. And I just make a point of it. You know, if they're going to serve me ads, I want to say that I don't like it and wreck their ad a bit. But now Facebook thinks I love Huel. The algorithm thinks I like it.
You get them all the time.
So it thinks I'm Huel's greatest fan, and I'm getting a lot of Huel ads.
Oh, that's pretty. I might start doing that.
Tony alone, does not like you. Please don't come for us either. Wait, one day.
What other company was it? It was Huel, and what else would I? What else
Do you dislike?
do I dislike? There's something else. I don't know. Can't remember.
There's lots of things.
Oat milk.
Fucking oat milk.
Oat milk. You don't like it?
No, it's full of seed oil.
Well,
Apart
yes,
from
Plenish. We use Plenish at home. That was actually a real issue for us, having, as I said to you earlier, if you think you're hardcore, I might out-hardcore you a little bit over the next half hour.
Bring it on.
But one of my worries with giving my son oat milk, because we decided that often when he had dairy, he got a bit blocked up, so especially as a baby. But Plenish doesn't have added calcium.
Yes.
And they're supposed to have a certain amount of calcium, especially when they're young. So that was another thing to worry about.
Kids.
Yeah.
You never stop worrying them.
No.
The rest of your life. One's easy. Just letting you know that.
Well, I'm told one is easy, but it doesn't feel like it is.
Yeah.
Try to.
Oh, when they're at school, it is, you get a good bit of respite there for 7 hours of the day.
My son thinks I'm working right now, not just sitting in a sauna having a laugh.
You are working. But, I mean, let's get into it. The NLP, will you talk a bit more about that? Because I'm going to admit that I don't know a whole lot about this.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah. Well, I didn't either, and I was sort of back in 2004 just quite interested. I didn't feel quite as happy as I could do, but I also was quite interested in trying it with my work. So I started studying neuro-linguistic programming and eventually became a practitioner and then trained to the highest level that you can train in. But the thing, so it's part mindset, it's part linguistics, and it's part communication with yourself and other people, and it's used by millions of people around the world. It's really big, actually. And it's used a lot in therapy. I don't know if you went to any of Marissa Peer's talks at the Health Optimization Summit. What she does is NLP, basically.
Yeah, okay.
And I've spoken at events with her over the last 10 years or so. And when I really started to know it worked, was I was using it on my radio show. Because I thought, well, I could just get people to feel really good about listening to. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I could get them to feel really good about listening to my show and maybe listen for a bit longer. And in the end, the boss called me into his office and said, I don't know what you've done, but your listening figures have gone through the roof. Oh, wow. And it was because I was using the NLP skills. We could do it on this. Yeah. we could, yeah. We will. You know, my consultancy fee is quite high. That is pretty much all I need. Yeah. So that was, from a personal perspective, I was like, oh, it works. And now, I've really enjoyed working on clients with it. Obviously, this has always been my side hustle because I've been working in TV. Yeah. But then 2 years ago, I left Sky to write books more and to focus on this a bit more. And that's been utterly liberating. Yeah. And now I'm able to focus on this more and do more things like this, which I really couldn't do before. Yeah. So.
And you're moving as well, aren't you?
Moving to Portugal in 3 weeks.
Oh, we're not jealous at all. And what prompted that move?
We went to Thailand for 3 months. Okay. So it's a lifestyle design, I think it's called. Yeah. And the thing I was most nervous about was, would my 3-year-old then son enjoy it? And he loved it. We found a lovely, slightly alternative, little bit hippie-ish school for him. Nice. He was very happy, therefore we were happy. We had a great time, and we sort of said, could we do this a little bit more? And we looked at loads of places, but the guys who own Exhale Coffee live in Lagos.
Yeah. Do they?
In Portugal.
I didn't realise that.
So they showed us a really good time. I only got kids. And we looked around there at the other parts of Portugal and we thought, that's the place for us. So we've got a flat, we've got a bank account and a school and everything else over there. And the only thing that we haven't got, slightly alarmingly, is the visa. You have to do everything the wrong way around. Okay. It's mad. You can't apply for the visa until you've got all these things sorted out. So I'm sure it'll be fine.
It'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And it has the project there.
Yeah. But just on the NLP, one of the things I really love working on the NLP with is the fact that so often when you talk about health and biohacking, the thing that really makes a difference more than anything is working on how you think about things. 100%. It really is, and it's not actually the sexiest one. I could tell you loads of very cool biohacks, but nothing quite as good as 10 minutes of meditation a day. Yeah.
Wow. No, I mean, a little bit. We're starting on our biohacking journey. We've been here for a couple of years, but and our podcasting journey. But
you guys are hardcore. You're not starting out.
Not with biohacking, no, but with kind of putting it out there and actually, working together. We have realised that actually it is the mindset that makes the difference.
The mindset and the people that you surround yourself with.
And the community, getting guests like you and loads of other people we've been talking to and sharing experiences, and I think telling stories in a way, and it's sharing people's stories, and you often find that you have some kind of commonality, both virus, both this, both that, and actually I think then you can put yourself into a mindset to say, well, they did this, I can do this. And then it's that positivity then sort of grows, doesn't it? And we were talking to Sunny about this as well on the podcast we did with him about being in the present moment as well, and particularly when you're starting a new business or you're moving to a new country or your kids are starting a new school, you're forever projecting forward to the future, but actually it's really important to bring yourself back to this moment and be present. And I think that's what I struggle with. That I think a lot of people do.
Well, I think with NLP, retraining the brain to do anything is really, it's all about consistency, isn't it? So I actually was telling you, I saw something on TikTok randomly yesterday. a woman was saying, you know, to retrain your brain, just imagine you're in a field and there's a path that's already, you know, trodden.
Yeah.
You keep going down that same path, you're headed in the same direction. But if you create a new path, it's gonna take you a long time before it's trodden and it's an actual path. But it will eventually get there. Is that a little bit what NLP is? So retraining the brain through consistent thoughts?
Yeah, there's a lot of behaviour change in there. There's the behaviour change at the conscious level, so we've got sort of loads of conscious level techniques, but there's also behaviour change at the unconscious level, which is amazing. It's all the stuff around hypnosis, which is just so cool, because, you know, the conscious mind can only think about roughly seven things at once. Right now I'm fairly conscious of the fact that I'm hot, for example. But I'm not thinking about, you know, breathing, for example. That's my unconscious mind is just dealing with all of that. So when you start to use some really cool, some hypnotic techniques, some of the techniques, I mean, you know, anchoring is one of the really basic techniques that works really well with NLP. So you might have heard of Pavlov's dogs. You know, Pavlov famously had this experiment where he fed his dogs, and every time he fed the dogs, he would ring a bell. And after a while, he could ring the bell, and even if there was no food, the dogs would be salivating. And that is because we associate an external stimulus, something we can see or hear or feel, with how we actually feel in terms of our emotions within. Therefore, we can use that for all sorts of things. If you want to be more productive, you know, you think about a time you were very productive in the past and associate, you know, see what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel how good it felt to be productive. And then, for example, squeeze your thumb and forefinger together. And do that enough times, you can squeeze your thumb and forefinger together and you'll feel productive. Your unconscious mind will be guiding you there, even though consciously you're not really sure what's going on. So it's pretty trippy and pretty awesome. In the same way that when you hear a song, it reminds you of a first holiday or a first love or something like that. I mean, I do loads of stuff with music because it just works really well. And I often get people to build Spotify playlists based on another technique called chaining anchors, which gets them from feeling one thing to feeling another in the space of 4 songs.
Wow, it's really okay. That's
I might need 20, but
Well, one song is too quick. You can't just go from feeling anxious to awesome in one song. So we pick the first song is like a song that you sort of feel fairly indifferent about, and then it's a song that you quite like, and then it's a song you really like, and then it's a song that represents exactly the feeling that you want to have. It gently takes you to a different place. Yeah.
That's cool. We're having thinking what we can do here.
the brain is ticking away.
So we were talking about before you came in, but so for things like anxiety, can you use NLP to help with that?
Definitely.
Like your song thing there.
Yeah, the song thing would be a perfect example. You know, there was one person that I worked with who was very anxious. You know, I mean, one of the things that NLP is used for a lot is phobias, and that is not. It's not something that I do that much these days, but it was a great way to practice when I started out. And I worked with someone who had a phobia of going over bridges, actually.
Wow.
And I used that chaining anchors technique, the Spotify playlist. In fact, it was pre-Spotify. So I think she had 4 songs on iTunes. Or, I mean, I don't think it was a CD.
A Walkman.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So,
not over a bridge. She was.
So it was the 4th bridge in Edinburgh. It's a massive bridge that she couldn't get to work without going over the bridge. So 15 minutes before she got to the bridge, she would put on the playlist, and that would help her get over it.
I get that one, you know. Wow, I totally get the bridge one.
Do you?
Yeah. Particularly the ones that you drive over, I'm a bit like...
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, isn't it, how our brains develop such odd quirks that can turn into phobias. And, you know, you talked about that 1% change. It sometimes just is a case of getting back on track. And that's the same with everything. I mean, God, we were talking about parenting before we started. All the time I feel like, you know, as a parent, I might have gone 1% off what my sort of values are as a parent, and I have to bring myself back on track.
So then for children, for example, could you use these techniques with children?
Oh, yeah.
Because I suppose they're like really...
Does it make them...
like fluid, aren't they? And they're open to this more than an adult is, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. The problem is that they'll get really good at it and then they'll use it on you.
Yeah.
My children already control.
That's like the same with everything, though, isn't it? Like...
So I guess, how old are your kids?
Mine are nearly 11 and 7.
Yeah. So if you want to get them to tidy their room, do you want to tidy that now or do you want to tidy that later? No is not really a very relevant answer to that. My son still seems to get away with just saying no.
Oh, I like
He's
that.
going, no, Daddy.
I'm going to use that. I like that. Rather than just me, the tiny
Mine will still figure some way around it.
Yeah. But, you know, one of the things that I teach people a lot is just using softeners in language as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing with parenting. You know, we really try to use gentle discipline.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed Sarah Ockwell-Smith on my podcast, who'd be great for you. I'm not sure if she's into saunas, but she is fantastic. And I think she's still got 4 teenage children. Wow. And it's all about gentle discipline. And she sort of just says, you know, if you're just issuing out orders, why, you know, at some point, in fact, when they're younger, probably our age kids, that's going to work. But once they get to 17, they're going to be like, no.
Also, you don't want to be that. We all remember being young. You don't want to be the parent that's doing that.
No, well, you know,
I
it's
ought
not.
to be, you're not cool. And it just works immediately. I'm like,
But if you think yourself about being spoken to like that, it's not a nice feeling, is it? Do this, do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you feel good.
Well, I've got a way in which you can issue the order even without them knowing that you're giving them the order. So you just use a few softeners in there. Softeners are words like I wonder or maybe or might.
Okay.
So you might say, tidy your room. Or you might say, I wonder if you want to tidy your room.
Yeah.
And you can either leave it... Yeah. But you could use some more softeners afterwards. Wonder if you want to tidy your room now, or maybe you want to tidy it later on.
Yeah.
I used that actually with the phone, but not that, but with my other one. She plays the violin and she loves playing it. She loves being part of all the orchestras. She hates the practice.
The practice, yeah.
And I'm like, you're going to play violin? No. And we might battle a little bit,
Right.
and then I figured out if I and she doesn't listen to this, so I can say this because they're not allowed.
Yeah.
If I say, oh my God, I love listening to you playing. Do you think you can do it? She's like, quick, straight away there, just wants to play.
It gives them some value, doesn't it? Yeah.
Don't know what Sue of 17.
No.
Send her. She's good tuning.
But the funny thing about parenting is, you know, having learned all of these NLP techniques and training other people on them now and knowing how good they are, nothing works as well as bribery, does it?
No, I'm so glad you said that. Yeah.
Obviously.
Chocolate, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Well Easy, the healthy online store delivering you absolutely loads of savings. You can get brands like Hunter & Gather, Exhale Coffee, Clean Lean Protein, so much good stuff, Biona Organics, and it all comes with massive discounts. We get a Well Easy order about once a week. We absolutely love it. And I know a lot of people have signed up since I've started partnering with them on this podcast, and I'm just really tough to be doing it, really. So you can use the new code, which is Zestology2023, to get £10 off your first order. If you're the sort of person who shops at Planet Organic or Whole Foods and winces every time you get the bill, and you probably are if you listen to this podcast, you may want to give it a go. And it's always a good day when we get a Well Easy order. So go to welleasy.co.uk, use the code Zestology2023. If you're in America, and I know about half of my listeners are, then I'm sorry, it's not in the States at the moment. It's like the equivalent of Thrive Market, but maybe soon. Maybe at some point they'll be there. But for the moment, it's the UK only, and it is welleasy.co.uk with the code Zestology2023. Now, back to the show.
So what's a kind of typical day? This is what we always ask our guests. What's a typical day in the life of Tony?
Well, you'll be glad to hear I'm not going to go all Mark Wahlberg on you.
Okay.
2 a.m. wake up, cryotherapy by 4.
Yeah.
But
He wakes up.
2 a.m. He's beating me. I thought.
Oh yeah, no, he's ridiculous. There's some meditation and a workout every day because that's really important for my mind.
Yeah.
And
I saw on your Instagram, which I loved, that you have a workout WhatsApp with your wife.
Yeah.
And it's just only for workouts, and you just put what you did and your time in there, and it just keeps you accountable. And I thought that is such a brilliant idea to keep.
That's great.
Keep
Who
it
am I doing
going.
it with?
We can do it with it.
You guys could do it together.
Yeah.
It's incredible how well it works. Actually,
Yeah.
it's really. it's really motivating because today I just looked and I thought, oh, I haven't actually done as many minutes as I normally would have at this time of the month. It's the 17th or something today.
Yeah.
So I need to crack on and do so. You know, I mean, I'm that competitive.
Yeah.
And so is she. So we have another one for meditation. We've been doing it for 3 or 4 years.
Okay, wow.
And then you can also just, firstly, it keeps you accountable to yourself. I haven't meditated much in the last few days.
Yeah.
But also, if you're competitive, you want to beat them. Yeah.
We could set up a fit partnership community one and all compete against each other.
Yeah.
We're both so competitive.
Yeah.
I think it would just
Might
we'd
just
be a
push
little
us
side
over the
where we'd never get out.
But again, in terms of behaviour change, it's completely rooted in science. You know, I mean, they've found that if people just think about a goal and don't tell anybody, and they just think about it, they're about 10% likely to get it done. And if they make the maximum amount of public fuss about it, i.e. have an accountability group with your friend, or maybe post it on Facebook, or maybe if you're running a marathon getting sponsorship, you're about 85% likely to get it done because you don't want to go back on all that public. You know, the power of commitment is so important. It's one of the 6 laws of persuasion that Dr. Robert Cialdini talks about.
So aside from meditation and movement, which is awesome, what else?
Do you listen to something during meditation? Do you listen to any?
Sometimes I listen to Sam Harris's meditation app. I'll use Othership, which is a breathwork app. I don't know if you've used that, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
It's like a breathwork disco.
Yeah, okay.
It's great. Sometimes I'll use self-hypnosis. Occasionally, I probably should admit this, I'll listen to my own hypnosis audios, but anything that does the job really. And depending on how I'm feeling, like I actually found breath work requires energy.
It's so we did a breathwork workshop with Adam Burgess, didn't we? And well, we're going to continue because he's coming in for a series of them, but it's hard, isn't it? It's not. It's so mindful.
Yeah.
And still, I mean, we did mouse taping, so that's helping us when we're sleeping.
Oh, I mouse tape as well. Yeah, that's good.
But with Adam doing the breathwork, what it made me really conscious is when I speak, I get really excited and I'll blah, 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 and it all comes out and over lots of movement and this. And he was just like, no, you have to be really, really aware of taking the breath, releasing the breath. And I was like, I sound so much smarter when I speak like that.
That's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't get as much out then, would you? I mean, it's
much. And I think the excitement is part of my vibe as well.
I think you can't change.
And then I've definitely got some more out there hacks that I use on a regular basis. You know, I sort of take some fairly unusual supplements. I'm taking one at the moment which nobody has heard of. I literally haven't met one person who even knows what it is. Have you heard of specialised pro-resolving mediators?
No.
Oh my God, this is going to change your life. You need to get some before Ibiza.
Specialised.
Specialised SPMs. So basically this is, I don't know if you've ever taken omega-3s or you take omega-3s.
Yeah.
But this is, if you've got histamine intolerance, which is one of the things I suffer from, it's quite hard to tolerate omega-3s because they're made with fish oil, or they're made with krill, or they're made with algae, all of which are high histamine. So SPM is what omega-3 turns into in the body. But a few years ago, a brilliant scientist figured out that you can actually do that to fish oil outside the body. So it's a bit like the difference between coconut oil and MCT oil.
Yeah.
It's sort of like much more highly refined, and it's much more absorbable. And I've been taking it for a few months, and I've got to say, I thought it would be interesting for sort of inflammation in joints, but the effect it's had on my stomach. I don't think I've had such a rock solid stomach for 25 years. And if you're going to be putting loads of alcohol into your stomach next week, I'd love to know if it works.
So just Google SPM.
SPM. The one in the UK is SPM Supreme. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you might need a second mortgage to. I mean, it's about 70 quid a bottle, so it's not cheap.
Sorry, kids. Yeah. You can have new school shoes.
Just need that.
Daddy can get them.
Fuel sponsorship to come in, and then you're doing that.
No, we are not selling ourselves to the devil. Okay, go on. What other supplements? I'm really intrigued.
I will just take notes in the corner.
Yeah.
Take methylated vitamins. Sort of take the standard ones like zinc and trace minerals. take a supplement called Oxytec in the evening, which is excellent. That just, for want of a better phrase, gets things moving overnight, which is good. But then other stuff as well, like for example, I'll take a histamine supplement before I eat high histamine foods, which is great. And that would be another thing for boozing as well.
Yeah, I'm actually not a big drinker. This sounds like
I know, yeah.
I'm not, but
It's all right. Like, the two things.
For a week. 1 week away.
But when you work in this world, you basically get asked more than anything what I do about alcohol and caffeine stuff.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. So histamine block plus is perfect. Yeah.
Eating.
Yeah.
Fine.
And what other kind of crazy biohacks do you do?
Well, there's one that I've been using recently, which cost me £10, so it's satisfying because it's a cheap hack, and it's the power of light. So you know, you hear a lot about infrared light and red light, and I had a sinus infection in April, which I've never really had before. It's very annoying. I just felt like, you know, when you're totally blocked up, you don't feel like you can get anything done.
It's horrible. Sleep as well. It really messes with sleep.
And I tried everything. I tried xylitol spray, silver spray, essential oil spray, neti pots, all, you know, vaporizers in the room. None of that worked. But I bought this £10 device, which basically is like 2 prongs that got the nostrils. Did you see that?
Instagram,
yeah. And that shines red light up the nose, and 3 minutes later you can take it out and you can feel that you're breathing better.
Wow.
Amazing.
Can kids use it as well then?
I guess they probably could, but it's made by Lloyd's, the chemist group, and they've actually done science around it, so they'd probably give you some quite good information about whether kids could use it or not. But I'm not sure whether you can use red light generally with kids or not. I don't think we've ever had ours in front of the proper red light.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Well, there'll be.
So don't get sticking your kids in front of the red lights.
Yes. Disclaimer.
We always do this.
It's not though, don't it? My little one often gets in bed with me, and she's when she's got a blocked nose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'd be really interesting, wouldn't it? Just if you are able to do that.
Yeah, put it up.
Yeah. But I mean, it's, you know, and they've done the research that they've done shows that it does work. So they did the research to suggest that it works short term but not long term in terms of the red light up the nose. But I think it worked both, because what happens when you've got a sinus infection? Everything's blocked here, so right up in the sinuses, that's where the infection happens. So what was happening is it opening up the sort of pathways there, and then it was able to drain out. That's what I think was going on here.
That's amazing, especially for such a cheap gadget.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is what we're about. So this is kind of the ethos of the podcast.
Infrared saunas, which we're all about. An infrared sauna and cryotherapy.
We know we're lucky to have a fit membership.
Like baths and blankets and cold showers. And
so, for the more punchy biohacks, we always try and give a cheap alternative. But, I mean, we've got loads of ideas planned, but they're actually free. Most of them are free, and that's it. And most people can implement these in their life straight away and start feeling the benefits from it. So if you had to pick out one biohack that we could use for our biohack of the week, what would it be? What would you?
Based on the fact that I would love you to try SPMs, I really would, because I don't know anyone else taking them. I literally don't. And it has been, the problem is, I said to my wife, I think this has been totally different. My gut feels like it's the best thing in years. And she said, is that the only thing you've changed? And I was like, no, obviously not. I've changed loads of stuff just because that's me. So that's not going to be my recommendation of the week. My biohack of the week is going to be a mindset hack, which is set up a WhatsApp group with somebody close to you and keep yourself accountable in one area. So one area that's important, I have 2 groups, which is meditation and then workouts. But on the meditation one, I actually note one other thing on there, which is a sleep emoji, which denotes the fact that I've left my phone out of the bedroom, because I noticed that consistently I wasn't sleeping as well when I took my phone to bed. And I've got such bad self-control that I'll always look at it last thing at night or first thing in the morning, and my brain doesn't rest as well. So you could include that in your WhatsApp group as well.
I love that. And so that's less about the kind of EMFs and more about your own temptation to touch the phone. So leave it out of the bedroom for both.
No, it is. Because what's going on with because if you've got, in the last minutes before bed, obviously it's the bright light from the phone and the EMS and everything else. But more than that, it's your nervous system. Yeah, if you're reading CNN at 10:42 and you're turning out the light at 10:45, that's not a particularly good way to prepare your brain for sleep.
No.
You know, there's lovely nights occasionally when you go to bed and read for ages and then you fall asleep really nicely and afterwards. That's what we're aiming for every night.
Oh, I love that biohack.
Yeah,
I'm going to do that. We're going to set up a WhatsApp.
We should do it.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get a little bit back on the
Back on the what?
Post Ibiza.
Yeah, post Ibiza. I've slowed down. I'm like, I'm finished for the rest.
Can you call this the Ibiza episode?
Yeah.
The Ibiza pre Ibiza.
The pre-Ibiza. The post-Ibiza one will just be you lying there snoring.
Tomorrow. I'm so excited. It's literally every second word I'm saying.
Oh,
I'm going to Ibiza.
quite right.
I do have one. We have one last question.
Yeah.
You've interviewed some really cool people over the years.
Can you have their details?
Can you hook us up? Who was your favourite and why?
I've interviewed Esther Perel, who's the relationship expert, and I interviewed her at Dave Asprey's biohacking conference. And that was basically a very intense half-hour therapy session.
Yeah.
And then I have interviewed Dave Asprey a few times, and I went to 40 Years of Zen, which is his sort of mysterious mountain retreat where you get electrodes stuck to your head for a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually.
Wow.
It's neurofeedback, and you do that in a hardcore way for a week. And he was there at the same time, so we recorded a podcast there as well. Wow. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say life-changing, but genuinely one of the most fun sort of personal development weeks I've ever had.
Yeah. Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And you know, just to say that we were talking about sort of mindset, and I do think that actually meeting people face to face.
Yeah.
Today I was thinking most podcasts only take half an hour. You guys have taken most of the day out for me because I've had to come over to Wimbledon and record this. That is so much nicer, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is like the highlight of the day rather than just another Zoom call to do.
Yeah.
So when you guys get to episode 150, you'll be like, oh God, we've got to get in the Zoom again.
So what a day.
And we're here anyway, so it's like
bringing someone in with us,
Brilliant.
having a chat, which is why this started, because we were sat here. We didn't know each other before we joined.
No.
We were sat here.
Oh wow.
Just chatting.
We used to sit here and
Just
we'd talk about this,
constantly banging off
I'm
each
doing
other's
this, you're doing this.
No
And people
way.
would come and sit in the middle there and they'd be like, God, you two, you
get
need to get something here. And then we've said to Max, we're going to do a podcast in the sauna. And he's like, oh God, another crazy idea. And then we did it. And it's been fun.
It's been going well, yes, going well.
That's funny. I was at this sauna on Tuesday with my mate, and we were just like you, with one person in between us, chatting about all our supplements, and he was telling me about peptides called BPC 157. Have you heard of this?
I haven't, no.
Oh my goodness! Like I might have slightly butchered the title here,
There you go.
but this is so peptides are fairly incredible,
Yes,
right? And
yeah.
you can get peptides for the skin, which are amazing. You can get the ordinary have peptides in them, don't they? But BPC 157 is supposed to be incredible for inflammation. Okay. And he said this is the best biohack that I've got, and he is very well informed. So I went home, told my wife, and my wife was like, I think we've got some somewhere. And I'd been sent some for the podcast. I'd never used it. So anyway, last night she took some, and she came down this morning and she said, I literally feel amazing. I've got no inflammation anywhere. I went for a really long run yesterday. What is in that stuff?
Oh, wow.
So I've never tried it, but I mean, write it down,
Oh God, this has cost me a fortune, this podcast.
Well, what you need to realise is that getting podcast sponsorship can be challenging sometimes, but people will give you stuff for free.
Access.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really terrible. All right, cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming. And see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening. Thank you to the SweatyAF team, Joey and Lucy, for having me on your podcast, and please do check out theirs because it's great, and it was such a pleasure being interviewed by them. That is pretty much it for this podcast. Very soon there's a personal update. As you heard in this podcast, there's plenty going on with my life at the moment, and soon I'll be recording this podcast from a different country, so there will be an element of lifestyle design going on for certain. And as always, this podcast is, as always for this month, this podcast is brought to you by my friends at Magnesium Breakthrough. If you go to magbreakthrough.com, /Zestology and use the code Zestology10. You will get 10% off all Bioptimizer's products. And it's also brought to you by Welleasy, my friends at Welleasy. Please do check out welleasy.co.uk and the new discount code, which is Zestology2023. We have never needed a site like Welleasy more. I am not only saving loads of money on it, and I can't believe how much groceries are at the moment, but I also know from having spoken to them that a lot of you are using that discount code as well. So Zestology 2023 is the new one, and you'll get £10 off your first order. And sorry, it's not in the States at the moment, but it might be at some point in the future. Right, now, as you heard from this podcast, I am going to be living in a different country very shortly, so I've got a lot to do. You'd be amazed at how much there is to sort out. Not only that, I need sort of boxes in my car to drive through various tolls in various different countries. So I'm going to go and sort that out, and I'll see you next time on Zestology.